what we were talking about earlier about social media, it is like this kind of necessary evil, you know, if you want to call it evil, I don't know. Where not just myself, but artists in general get great opportunities from having their, I guess, portfolios online, you know, uh, growing an audience. Like, yeah, you can have a lot of benefits, um, but it is a whole other art form almost. It's graphic design, it's marketing, it's PR, and all these different things all in one. When you're thinking about like, how do I use it as an artist to get these benefits? You have to feed it. Feed the beast. We each have 24 hours in a day, and it's about how much bandwidth you have to give to your craft, to give to promoting your craft, to give to engaging with audience and all these different things. Um, and to not be distracted by your For You page, it's like, because, yeah, the more you use it, the more insidious it could become, and it knows what you want to see, and, you know, um, but I think it's good to at least know how to use it and when, than completely ignoring that it exists. It's not the same as it was several many years ago, where it was a different model. It was, you could go to a gallery and you have your physical portfolio, and it's like, yeah, some of my paintings, and it's like, what do you think? It's now like that's really not what you do. um, even in a social media context, it's like galleries aren't necessarily welcoming onslaughts of portfolios and just cold calls and that kind of thing. Yeah, collectors have found me through social media before. Opportunities have found their way through social media before. Um, so yeah, I think it's just, again, balance. But setting up a tripod with your phone and getting this angle, or setting up a time lapse or something, not even knowing how much fucking work you're gonna get done in this session. It's like, all right, cool. There's a time lapse of me painting a finger. Great. Who wants to see that? But then, like, also thinking about like, what do people want to see? You know, am I gonna make a paint? What it gets dangerous when it gets dangerous is when it starts influencing what you make. You know, um, I'm gonna paint eyes because people love seeing eyes being painted, me included. But it's like, am I gonna shift what I'm focusing on for attention, or am I gonna focus on what I'm already focusing on and just like hope that it finds its people? Easier said than done, because sometimes it's like you can make a painting and people just don't fucking connect with it. Uh, and then sometimes you do, and it's like, wow, I didn't expect anybody to like this, but they do. You know. And there's something nice about the unpredictability. You never know how an audience, anybody, is going to react to your work. People always see something else in it that you may not think of, or you may not have been like uh, conscious of or intentional about when you're making your work. But that kind of engagement is always like one of the best parts. One of the best parts about being an artist is like getting that feedback, that reaction, that this reminds me of something, or like this is making me think of something, and it's like, yeah, that's what it's all about. It's like you want to engage, You want it, and by extension yourself, to be seen. What I've realized recently, in like recent times, is like, even with making very specific statements with your art and exploring very like nuanced experiences, uh, you're surprised to see like how much people could actually relate. While you don't have the same exact experience, what's really being communicated is a feeling. There's such a wide spectrum of emotions as a human. You never know who's gonna relate to that like emotional resonance. Who, who can see something that you didn't necessarily mean to express, but there's something within the specificity of it that conveys the depth of why it is this deserves to exist as a painting. Because, as an artist, you could feel like people aren't going to relate to this. People may not get it. And there's sometimes this voice in the back of my head is like, find another way to say it. Find another way to like illustrate it. Sometimes I do, and but sometimes you have to just say, you know what, I'm gonna be true to whatever this vision was or idea is, and who gets it gets it. You know, I feel like being able to do that is a privilege, though. As a career artist, I do depend on selling my work. You know, and if it is not something that people can connect to, it's not something that they're gonna buy. If they're not buying it, how can I live with my work? It's kind of catch 22. But then I just feel like you need to be brave with it, and you need to stick to your guns, and because I don't think you'd be satisfied as an artist if you're not honest, if you're not authentic to who you are. Otherwise you're just making images, and you're just like playing this game of like just a salesman, you know. And I feel like while there's room for that, because not all art has to be like deeply excavating and whatnot for someone to live with it, but like while there's room for that, it would be a shame to have this calling, I guess, to an ability to take this invisible thing called inspiration and like make something beautiful or challenging or compelling with it, and not do that. To not do that would be like, nah, a shame. Yeah.